What's up, guys? Pop Up 101 here. Today, I'm going to be showing you something a little bit different. So, I had just worked on and released my energy shield. So, look at that. Number one. It's awesome. My energy shield. So, there you can see the little video of it. But, what I'm going to be showing you now is something a little bit different. It is a new shield that I'm working on to add something a little different to the game. So, you're gonna grab the handle right here, and after pressing Alt or the spell button, depending on what controller you have, I'm going to have it activate, and it will start to look something like this. Click on scene, and everything's animated. So after it's activated, the animation starts to play. Or, actually, what I'm thinking about doing is having it start all on one, and then when you hit the activate button, I don't know, not entirely sure what I should do yet. It's pretty new. It's definitely something that's going to be a whole lot of fun to work on. But that's not the main purpose of this video. What I'd like to show you guys after I save this is how to make a gun from scratch. So we're going to go to Sketchfab, type in gun, and let's do most recent. See if we can find any cool models of something to do. And there's something in particular I'm looking for. Just hope I can actually find it. As you can tell, though, there's plenty of cool ones. Actually, now that I think about it, why not do a minigun? Actually, don't I already have a minigun? I do. Actually, this is the minigun that I have. That's funny. I don't know. What's a cool kind of gun to use? Let's just type in gun, see if we can find a big one. We've got a couple of snipers. Some of these are really cool. But I already have a sniper pack out, so what I'd like to do is do a more fantasy-like weapon. Just hope I can find it. I believe it's like an AK. That's a good start. That's cool. Not quite what I'm looking for. And note, all of these models are on Sketchfab, so they're free for you guys. So I don't need to be the only one using them. I made an AK. There you go. Now this is what I'm looking for. Now that's cool. Okay. And sort by most Let's do most viewed. Let's look for something that's downloadable. This is the one that I made in the previous game version. But, holy cow. If only that was downloadable, that's something I'd love to put in game. It's beautiful. What I'm gonna do is... that one looks like a cheaper version of the other one. I want to find a cool one. You know what? Let's say for now, let's stick with this one. Because this is awesome. And this will not only show you how to get a gun in game, but have it stab the opponent too. And now that I think about it, I think it could slash. I don't see why not. So, really simple. Download it. Oh, it's only 4 megabytes. That's not a lot at all. Okay. You can't go back to a zipped folder, really. That's kind of dumb. Alright, streaming assets, default. Let's close everything. Because I'm just going to get distracted because I was working on the airbending mod. I got the effects and everything, and I'm just trying to get it in game. So if anyone wants to test that, make sure to message me about it. Because I believe it's almost done. I just need to fix a couple of the JSONs. Okay, so we can go to the desktop folder. Let's name it. Very original name, right? Okay. I believe that's everything. One thing to note, if you double click on this, you notice how you can click on the textures. It's got these 3. But if you click on the source, it doesn't have the actual source. It has a separate zip file with the model in it. With that actually also has the model itself. Right here. And then the normal and I'm guessing the shininess, NS. So one important thing to do is make sure to click on the source, double click on it, and see if it has a zip, because you should unpack that, because it typically holds the textures and the model itself. It's just something that I found out, because some people do it like that. I'm not necessarily sure why, but it doesn't matter all that much. So, and I'm really looking forward to that shield too. I think I should make a pack of these. So, let's name it AKs, put it in my packs folder, which starts with a P. I'm in random right now. Okay. Packs. AKs. Alright. Simply drag it in like normal. And for reference, let's keep looking at the picture. And that's just a folder, so you can delete that. Alrighty. That looks terrible. So let's make it look better. Set it to both. Drag it on. Pack the prefab. And that's kind of a waste. So let's just get rid of that empty file. This is the model itself. Now it's dragged on. Looking a little better. Add a normal to it. Okay. And I feel like this deserves to be shiny. Now that's cool. In game, it won't look this dark either. That's just how it looks for now. So let's see. I'll use my Glock because I don't need this to have an animation. Drop it in. Alright guys. This is actually going to be very simple. So you just combine what you know about making a sword with making a gun. So I showed you in a previous video, I believe, how to set up the gun, but what do I name it? Stab AK. Okay, so you're obviously going to need the muzzle point, so where the bullet's shot from, the flash, so the particles that show up. You don't need the particles, but they make it look better. The fire sound, the sound that it makes when shooting, and the grip. So what you have to be holding in order to actually shoot out the bullets. So that is very small. That means this is enormous. So let's set it to 0.1 for it. 0.1 for everything. Double click on it. Still a bit much. Let's rotate this on the Y. So it can be facing the same way as the Glock. Make life a little easier. Then I don't have to rotate everything. So actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it from scratch. So you guys can see the entire way how you make it. So alright. Everything is at 111. And for reference, let's pull up the Darksaber real quick. Which, if you haven't tried it in game yet, I definitely recommend it. Okay, Darksaber looks like that. And that just means this gun is humongous still, so. It's a little bit much. Okay. Now it's about the size of the Darksaber. Let's make it 0.06. And I think that's actually arrow gun. Something better yet to use is my arrow gun itself. Yeah, it's about the same size. I want it to be just a little smaller, so don't forget to drag it in. Okay, perfect. Hold the point. Doesn't really matter, but let's leave it right there. More towards the bottom. Parry point matters not at all. Okay. Everything is set to 0, so let's change the preview on the Z-axis. So 90, 45, and I believe that'll be very close to how we want it. Fly ref does not really matter all that much right now, but since it does have this tip to it, I figure why not add it. Because if you are going to be throwing your weapon at the enemy, if you throw it with this pointy end, I don't see why you wouldn't want that to stab them. So let's rename this to blade, because we're going to be putting this in it. It's going to take a couple colliders, so we can make it ourselves. It's not that difficult. And do that quite yet. Okay. So all of those are done. The effects. Since it is gold, let's make it a goldish color. So one thing that I have not really shown you guys, I can show you now. So set it to be random between two colors. You want one to be a little bit darker, so let's just leave it at that. And gold. I think that's a bit much, but yep. So let's make this gold a little bit darker. Alrighty, that's pretty cool for a color. Now, since it no longer gets darker over time, or now, since the particles don't fade out over time, you can add that in. So go to color over lifetime, and let's say that you have the basic preset, which is something like this. What you can do is drag this down there. Just tap anywhere in the top part to bring another one. Right here, you want to set this to 0. And this is just an easy way of doing it. And that's really it. So if I click on this, it's the same thing. Just what you want to do is make sure to keep the alpha at 0 for this, because the alpha is what makes it what's the word? It's not intangible, but it's invisible. So over time, it disappears, because not only does it get smaller with size, but it also gets more invisible. So it just makes it look better. Yeah, that should be good enough. And we can copy it. Emission, let's do... Oh yeah, this is something that I believe I fixed on a different video. So let's set that to 0. And... can't. Okay. Set to 0. So if you do the rate over time, it looks something like that. But what you want to do is add a burst in, because it looks a lot better and it works a lot better, and it's all at once. It's not a couple one after another. So for something like this, you'd want it to happen all at once. And then you can use less particles too, so it optimizes performance as well. Let's have it be a lifetime of... So this is just how long the particles stay in the game. 0.75 to 1.25. There you go. And I do want them to fade out a bit quicker, so 0.6 to 1.1. There you go. That's pretty cool. And if you set it to react with the world, then after it's shot, it actually moves, but I can show you if it's looping. Okay. Alrighty. You're very welcome. And I will say that I've had that problem in the past. It's just very tedious to color it with your own materials. But it does work. It can work. So, let's actually change this. Set it to 4x4 in the texture animation sheet, because if you look at it closely, it's 4x4 instead of how this one was 6x6 or 5x6. So this one's 4x4, so that's what you change it to in the texture sheet. So if you don't, then it looks like that with the 4x4. You don't want that. If you do click on the texture sheet, it changes over time, changes the particles. So to see it right there, a little bit different. It adds a different effect to it. So let's change the size just a little bit. Size of a lifetime. Let's make it 0.75 for this one. And I like that bit of a spirally texture. I think it's cool. Okay, save it. So now when it shoots, every single shot, Very nice. So we have some cool particles now. Keep constantly saving. We will find a nice shooting sound in a little bit. Spawn point where you want the bullets to come from. It says in Fisher's his tutorial that you can put it right at the barrel. While you can, it's not a good idea, especially if you want to have it work in slow-mo, because then the bullets collide with this right here, the end of the barrel, and you don't want that. So just bring it out a bit, and I'm gonna just make it up a little bit higher so it won't collide with the sharp part right there. I believe that's kind of it. It's really not that difficult, to be honest. Okay, rotate this 180 degrees. Alright, zoom in. Let's work on the handle. Handle does get a little bit annoying with these kind of guns, but you just want to angle it like that. So then the fingers, if you use the, what is it? Let me check for you. My Deagle uses it. Hope it's in this version. Handle cork. If you set it to handle cork, it's one of the other hand positions that comes with the base game that looks like it could be a gun. It looks very similar, and it's close enough, because I am not going to spend the time to make a custom hand position, because that takes way too long. And also, I don't know how on this game version. So, leave it like that, collider blunt. And you know what? Let's just take a pierce and a slash damager from something that does both. Let's just take it from my pie sword, because that's very easy to do. Then I won't have to go and do it from complete scratch, which makes my life a little bit easier. And I always put them together so it looks nicer, so it's easier to find. So with both of these, let's set it to be collider blade, so that this will be the blade, obviously. And that does not look how I want it, so let's just rotate it down like this. So doing that makes it negative. No, let's do 90. Green arrow pointed toward it. Okay. Change the size of it. Not big enough. .55. That should be pretty close. Alright, pull it down a little. See the size of it. Alright, I believe that covers what we want to do. Now just make sure that the blue arrow is not facing that way. You want it to be facing down, because the sharp goes up and down, not side, not like this. So to do that, just have the blue arrow be pointed down. Either way, to be honest, it doesn't really matter. Only because you're set to forward and backwards. If this was an axe and this was the head of the axe at the bottom, you'd just want it to face that way. If this is where the head of the axe is, that you want to do the chopping damage. So let's set it to 90. And that's straight. Let's fix this. Move it back just a little bit. Want everything to be perfect. Alright, that is not completely straight. Negative 180. Yep, that's straight. There you go. Okay, perfect. What do you do after you finish the mod? Do I... Actually, what I try and do is I try and fix everything right after. So it's all done in one swoop, so I don't really need to write everything down, because I can just remember the one or two couple changes that I want to make. Like, for example, something like this, when I put it in game, everything will be perfect except most likely the handle, because the handle is very tricky. So, for example, if I'm trying to change it, I might put it back a little bit when I'm actually testing it, after having done it in game. But besides that, I don't really change much because the colliders are very easy to do. Everything is pretty simple. One thing for this, I will say, let's do... Oh man. I have a bazooka, right? Yeah. The one thing for this weapon, I will say, is getting the handles right for grabbing the underside of a weapon. So if you look at the bazooka, why does it stop doing that? It's annoying. I was clicking the wrong thing. Okay. If you look at the bazooka, let's delete all this real quick, and it can get out of our way. You look at the handles, your regular gun, it's up and down, green arrow pointed, right? One thing that I would fix constantly is this, with the blue arrow to the side, because this is where your hand would go if you're trying to hold the weapon sideways. So your hand is just underneath it. Who added me? Light. Let's see if he has something to say. Any mods, teleportation. It's not appearing in any mod categories. You just need to download the item activation mod, man. Professional, what I do for bigger mods is I will write them down. I'll just put in notes. I'll go into notes on my phone and just change them. So that does make life a little bit easier, especially if there's a lot of changes, like with the Naruto mod. The Trials of the Shinobi, there were plenty of changes that I had to make to a bunch of different weapons, so I did end up writing those down. Let's double click on AK. Alright. Let's... why not? Let's make it so you can hold this right here. And not too much of it, because you don't want your hands to clip. Let's do it like that. That should be good. And is it lined up straight? It is very close. Yep, there you go. Again, try your best to set everything to 000, because if you saw what I just did, it was at 0.004. All I did was change it to 0, and then it moved over to be directly in line of where I wanted it to be. Yes, I get. I get a lot of those about people not really understanding how to put mods in or do it, so I'll continue making videos on how to do it. So we got our handle set up, and let's actually, I think we could add another one. We could probably add 2 more. So let's just duplicate this one, change the axis length to 0, Change this to 90 so it's completely straight. Rename it to handle 3 so it's easy to reference, especially if you're going to be doing changes in the JSON. You want things to be changes from the base JSONs. You do want them to be easily named so you can change them much quicker. Okay, so now it can be held like that. Perfect, perfect. And I don't think you'd need a handle there, so honestly, let's just do 3. So we've got our spawn point where the bullets spawn from, and this is where everything is named. So your first handle, what's actually being able to shoot, it's named grip only because in Fisher's JSON for the gun, that's what it needs to be named for these 4 names. Those are the 4 names that it needs to be in the JSON. Your transforms are what you've named them. So SFX, right there. My VFX, right there. So visual, sound. And those are just for me because they're easy to work with. Now, what we can start doing is work on some colliders. So let's just name it 1. Let us do a box collider, and I'm pretty sure this whole weapon is going to be metal, except for this right here. Actually, since I did select the collider blade, you know, I wonder if I could figure out a way to make it so that only the blade gets imbued, because I wasn't originally going to put an imbue, but I think that would be cool. And then he's going to message me saying that they both work. Okay. Galaxy plays. I mostly try to fix simple mistakes anyway. I will say, especially when you're starting off, writing down what's wrong definitely helps, because then you can also remember, and you can also have a record of something. So, for example, me, all of the scripts I've worked on and I've had people help me with, they're all right here, so I can reference them if I ever need to. And these are tutorials, little snippets of code and other things, helpful things that I've found. So this is how to add sounds to stuff that you put in game. This is how to edit videos. So for my YouTube channel, just some other coding things, but it makes it very easy if you have everything set up like that. So I do highly recommend it. But let's get back to this. So our blade right here. Let's pre-open GIMP, because what we're gonna do is see if we can edit the texture. And I'm going to open this up now because I'm kind of curious. Let's keep it. Okay. So, if you take a look at this, this is the sword part with the blue, I guess, flame looking thing right there. That is right here. So, this is a good tutorial for those of you that want to learn how to make a custom mission. So that is perfect that I'm doing this too. So let's select this, make sure that it's all black. This one, make sure that it's all white. And I do kind of like the fire. No, let's not do that. Now you select your wand up here. And GIMP is free, so I definitely recommend getting it because Photoshop costs money. And we're trying to save out here while making mods. So you select everything that you want. So if you have to shift click and select. This isn't control clicking to select multiple things like it usually is. So you choose what you want to change. Now for these. Now that I'm thinking about this, I could. How about I make the rest of it No, that's not what I wanted. Let's make the rest of it be able to be imbued. Not the blue flames, because I like the blue flames, they're cool. So shift click everything else. Everything that you want to get imbued. So all the color changes and everything. Oh, now you can do this at any time, but nope, let's not do that. What you do is you select your bucket fill tool, and if it doesn't show up there, you can right click on it because it might be set to gradient. You can right click on it, select bucket fill. Now, once it's set to white, why is it not clicking? There you go. And I didn't click on everything, but this just makes it easier to see. So if you click, zoom in, shift click on everything that you want to change. And I believe that's pretty good. I like the little bit of a faded texture, so after we've done all that, you can also do Control V. Nope. What is it? Shift B. Shift B. And if you couldn't tell, I just hovered over and it showed you the command. With everything else, I'm going to keep this visible for now, because I'm not sure if this is part of the texture. But with everything else, make sure to select away from the model, so you're not still selected onto that. When you want to grab the paintbrush, hardness and force, set it to max, because then it just does a pure circle. If it's not, see how it's faded? You don't want that. Change the color to black. Everything that you don't want to have an emission, you make black. So, or you can make it transparent. To be honest, it doesn't really matter that I've seen. But I just make it black because it's easier. But in case you did want to make it transparent, what you would do is you could use the fuzzy tool. You press X on it, Control X, and you see that it's white right there. We don't want that. So you go to Layers, Transparency, Add Alpha Channel. Now you select it, Control X. Now it's transparent. Okay? Definitely recommend taking a look at that when you get the chance, but for now it's not necessary to do it that way. So what we can do is go a little bit closer, just control and then use the scroll wheel, as I'm sure you guys all know, but this is a tutorial for everybody. And I accidentally got rid of some of that, yay. Not what I wanted to do. All you do, Control E, and let's name it emission. And if you dragged it in from Unity, all you have to do is hit Export. Export. Since you dragged it in from Unity, it automatically selects your folder, which is super nice. Select the AK, go to Material. If you turn on the emission map, you'll see that the whole weapon glows. You don't want that. You only want this to glow. Now, how cool is that? That's how it's going to glow in-game. And you remember that ball that we looked at before? Well, I believe that it was this part right here. But to be honest, it does not affect it that much. So, you just need to color the thing. Yes, the thing that's white is the emission. Is the thing that actually gets colored. Everything that's black, this stuff does not have it, does not actually get colored. Okay, so now that we've done that, that is probably the thing that takes the most time. For those of you that want to do it, I will say that it makes the weapon look a lot better if you have a custom emission, which I'm going to have to spend a whole lot of time doing for my weapon pack, because I didn't know how when I first made it. Nor did I add a... Oh, I can add that. I can show you to do that. A paintable. So if you stab someone with it, there's blood. You type in paintable, you add the script, save it. You make sure to put it on the model. Super duper easy. Easiest thing you could possibly do. By no means is it difficult. Anybody can do it. Let's shrink that a little bit more. Let's not do it like that. Okay. We've got this. Since we want it to stab amazingly, let's pull it back just a little bit. Duplicate it. And for something like this, let's only add 2. Because the more colliders you add to this, or especially to this endpoint right here, because I could fine tune it so that there's a bunch of little colliders making it perfect. But I don't want to do that because sometimes it messes with the game. And obviously we do not want that. Alright, everything's covered. So that is very good. Everything is set to blade. Obviously, since it's the emission, you need to have 2 colliders, 2 active colliders. Bring in that for the emission. 1, 1, 1. There you go. And let's not double click on that. That's not what I meant to do. Read and write enabled. Done. Now you just need to reference it in the JSON. What's the difference between normal map? Okay. So the albedo or base texture is the one that actually has typically it's the one with all the colors. The normal adds depth to the item. So if I take it off, let's change the metallic now because it won't show. Okay, you can see the weapon, right? If we get rid of the normal, it looks like this. It loses the depth, it loses some of the textures. We add it back, look at how cleaner that looks. Okay, and with the metallic, it's nice and shiny, which is what we want, especially for this weapon. The metallic makes it metallic, makes it shiny looking. Some weapons are made with a metallic map, which, you just drag on, so their slider won't be here. Smoothness, let's put it at 0.65 to get it super shiny. Don't really worry about that. Occlusion is rough. It's about the shadowing, but you don't really need it. I think it's kind of a waste, to be honest with you. And it does not affect the weapon enough to make you need to care about it. I never include them because it just takes up space in the weapon. Okay. Now what we're going to do, let's figure it out. Okay, so we got that done. Let's just copy and paste it, add it to collider and metal. Save it. Set it to 0. And control. Alright, just hit F. Some tedious and fun things, but you want the weapon to be perfect, right? Make this a bit bigger. And let's duplicate it. Bring it to the end right here, only because a little bit skinnier. So, collider blunt. Alright, it's perfect. There you go. Keep constantly saving it, and from this, just duplicate it, make it a little bit smaller. Can bring it up right there. Duplicate it. Constantly duplicate it. Makes your life easy. And just add one single one. Make it a little smaller because it's a little bit wider right there. Alright, there you go. So that is the base of the weapon. Let us add 2 colliders for this right here. It does look like a low render model without the maps. Okay, so hey, never mind. Look at that. I'm the #1 modder for U8.4 beta. It's crazy. Okay, easy peasy. F. Zoom in. That looks perfect. Do it again. You know what, let's add 3 just so it's a little bit nicer. Maybe 4. If you really want to get fancy with your colliders, which, you know, since I'm streaming this, I will. There you go. Now let's check our progress so far. That's pretty good. Now let's get this part right there. Oops, did not mean to do that. Zoom in on it. Bring it up. I can't see. It's one of the annoying things. Sometimes you just can't see what you're working on. Okay, check the colliders. This is why you can bring it up constantly. Like that. I believe that's all the colliders I need to do except for this part. And then the back. So, let's do that right here. Normally what I tell you is make this with the cylinder, a capsule collider, but it's not really necessary. You can do it with either, especially because it's smaller and skinnier. And it's not something that you're going to be grabbing in game. There's not much of a purpose or function to it. Okay. Alright, Control D. And let's just spam that a couple times. We can edit it later. Thank you very much. Well, considering how hard I work in them, I hope people like them. Make all these a lot skinnier. Perfect. And this one is, oh, it's actually, okay, this size good enough. And because I already did this one, duplicate it, because I see that this is right there. You can make one that's super skinny. Won't do a whole lot, but makes the model more complete. So if you want to do it, go right ahead. And depending on the amount of mods that you make, especially if you're making a big pack, it is definitely understandable if you want to cheap out and just copy and paste your models. And then just copy and paste the whole hierarchy of a model and basically just change the model textures itself. Because that is, I wouldn't say lazy, but it is very smart, because that allows you to work much quicker. Work smarter, not harder, right? And for this one we can add 2. Since I don't have a collider script that allows you to do shapes, which I was actually looking at earlier. I need to find one. Because I'm guessing they'll cost money, and I do not have any money to spend on mods at the moment, because I haven't gotten any donations in a little bit. So, yep. Got it fixed. Huh, I told you guys. I knew that would happen. Okay, we've done that. Let's check back. Laziest person will find the easiest solution. You're right about that. But then again, it's not really even about laziness. This is just, yeah, I am not making custom colliders to put your finger through that. No way. If people complain about it, so what? They definitely won't, but... Colliders. Alright, is this part done? That part is done. Blade is done. Let's make the little colliders right here. Super easy. I don't really care enough to make somebody be able to put their fingers through it, but it is a little thing that you can add that might make somebody's day a little bit better. So why not do it? Because things like that always make me smile. It's just the little things, the little extra hard work that you add to a mod that really completes it. Alrighty, that is perfect. Now let's do the back of the model. Let's take this one right here, because it's already a little bit longer. And for a gun of this caliber, I definitely think it's worth adding all the time to do the colliders by hand. Save it. There you go. Where can you donate? I mean, there's a couple places. Every time you download one of my mods, you can... Oh, he beat me out again. Somebody endorsed it. That's okay. Every time you go to one of my mods, if you... Let's just copy it. This is a random person. Let's say you try to download it. Hit download. Okay. After downloading a mod, you can... There should be some buttons around here that say download to the modder. If you go to my profile, you can gift me a premium membership or donate right here. If you do gift me a lifetime membership, though, I will make whatever mod you want as soon as possible. I'll drop the rest of my mods and I will currently make whatever you want. So that will... It does cost a little bit more, but an unlimited premium membership is one thing that I have been looking for, but it just costs a little bit much. Hello, Makar Ghost. No, I did not block you on Discord. I just removed you because I have it cluttered with so many people. It just makes it a little bit easier sometimes. So please don't message me on my YouTube videos about it. Alrighty, zoom in, make it a little bit bigger. Just stick it right there. That is close enough. I didn't get everything yet, did I? Nope, let's actually make this. Okay. that's actually pretty good just for the handle. Doesn't need to be too fancy. Okay. Duplicate it. This is when things start getting a little bit tricky because I like being able to stick my fingers through the handle parts. Get the colliders nice and accurate. Make it a little bit thicker if it's this skinny so that the player actually has some substance to hold on to. And luckily I clicked on this because you see how skinny that is? Way skinnier than I was making it. Alrighty, perfect. Let's make this one even skinnier because I did not make this one perfect. Oh no, actually it was pretty close. I'll leave that. Okay. So those two are done. Duplicate it, drag it over. That's actually sized up very well already. Maybe drag it up a little bit. That little corner, because it's so small, it's not really gonna make much of a difference. Because these things are so small and they don't really play a part in the weapon, you can cheap out on them a little bit. Just because it doesn't need to be super tedious for you. And since this is the actual trigger part, we can make this look a little bit nicer. Let's just leave it right there. No. Perfect. Holy cow. I think I did everything. That took way too long, way too much of my time. But it's all done. Look at that. It's beautiful. Everything is done. Except for this little back piece, which is bothering me. Duplicate it. Bring it over there. For this, definitely does not need to be fancy. Just a little thing if the player decides to flick it with their finger. Beautiful. Let's make sure we named everything. Alright. All the colliders have a material. So, I believe we're done, actually. Does it have a whoosh? It does not. Rename it. Okay. Well, thank you very much. Anything to support the channel, I greatly appreciate. But I will say I do accept commissions to make custom mods, so if you'd ever like something in particular and you're willing to fund me to work on it not only right away but to buy some assets for it and pay some of the asset creators, we can pretty much make whatever you want. So that is also something I'd like to throw out there at some point. Okay. Yeah, because you're gonna be swinging this. All right. Pierce is one thing that I should not forget to do, because that would look really stupid if I did. 180 on the Y. Let's zoom in. Make it 0.6. Because you want to be able to stab with this beautiful little thing right here. Pierce and collider blunt. Make sure the pierce is within the colliders, which it is. Let's do 5. So yes, you can. I don't want it to collide with that. Something I'm glad I just thought about. That is perfect. Drag it up just a little bit. There you go. Right from the tip through that. Fire ref is done. Colliders are done. Okay, so I see we have 3 people watching right now. I'm guessing one is Professional Uwu, the other is Make Our Ghost. Who's the third one? Anybody out there? Anybody want to say hi? The AK is done. The last final thing we need to do is add some gunshots. So always do the free sound.
James from Blink Farm here, back first from an AK, just a sample.
Sign in to download. No, thank you. I hate those. AK-47 single shot. Ah, there we go. Perfect. YouTube to MP3 converter. Let's convert it. Download it. Now let's drag it into our audio trimmer. Bring it in. I believe that's good, so let's set it as a wave. Save it. Ah, look at that. Nope, I hate that. Let's actually drag it back in. So refresh it. Let's not have a gap in it. There you go. And maybe a little bit more. Definitely prevent that gap. Delete that one. There you go, perfect. That's probably going to be super loud in game now that I think about it. So, refresh it, drag it in, change the volume. And there you go. I typically like to include a soft and a loud shot, because loud just keeps the sound at its normal volume, whereas the shorter one makes it sound better in game because it's not destroying your eardrums. Yep, let's name it loud. AK shot. And if any of you would like to test this out in game, just let me know. A custom sword, it depends on the model. Typically, I'll start from $10 to $15. But if it's, let's say, with particles or has scripted effects, so code to make it actually do stuff, like if you stab an enemy that disappear or something like that, then that's when it starts costing more than that. But typically I'll start for a weapon, a sword, depending on its complexity, between $10 and $15. So you can message me on Discord and we can talk about a price, if that's something you're interested in. No pressure. Change the sound. Save it. VFX. We got that. We got our sounds. Oh man, this is going to be a good one for the game. I believe we are completely done. Everything is there. Holder point's done. Pierce is pointed. Slash is down. Now, one thing that I will explain to you guys real quick. With the slash, if it is like this, forward and backwards, that means this, because the colliders are right there, this will be able to slash too. You do not want that. So what I am going to do, something I haven't shown you before. Let's do 0.2. So this right here can be its own slasher. Now this probably, hold on. I don't, yeah, I'll do it like that. Okay, yeah, for sure. Let me know how that goes when you make your own custom models. Because it is not super difficult, but then again, depending on the model, it does get more challenging. So like this, it's pointed downwards. We set it to forwards, then it can only slash pointed at the arrow. Look at that. The arrow actually tells you where it's pointed to. It's cool. Name it slash 2. And this is a long time that I'm spending on one model, but since this is a tutorial video, and we're starting from scratch, I figure, why not? Let's do 31. Set it to both, so we can slice you both ways. All right, I'm good. So, do that. Preview. Generate the icon. That is not how I want it to look. I want it to be pointed that way up. So, do I do it like this, maybe? Let's generate the icon and try it. That is the other way. Is this what I just did? Nope. Let's flip it. Set this to 0. 270. And I believe it'll go this way. Generate the icon. A little bit better. Still not what I want. Preview can get a little bit tricky sometimes. Now this is where I flip it over. Okay, let's test it out. Beautiful. Exactly how I wanted it. Now, I don't want it to be set to my airbending. Super A case. Name it AK pack. Super easy. Set it to default. I definitely understand where it takes up a lot of time. That's why I only stream for maybe an hour a night before I go to bed. Drag them in. Simplify. Addressable rename wizard. Apply. Yep, I saw. I just added you back. And since I believe this is done, I'm going to get a different model. It is very cool, without a doubt. But I am looking for something different. Maybe something else with the sword. Oh, okay. And that's very interesting. You know what? I'm going to click on that. A boar. Okay, that's going to be a bit challenging with the tusks. But it's definitely something unique that we haven't seen in-game yet. Now this is cool, but it doesn't really have any room to stab. That's a beautiful knife. Let's click on that. Oh, and that katana. I'm going to save these actually. Some of these are really cool. I haven't actually gone through and looked. So, yes, I have over 1,000 models saved. Do not judge me. I like this game. Oh, it's a Gatling gun. Ho ho ho. Whoa, that's okay, that's the next one I'm making. Without a doubt. Look at this. Holy cow. I wonder how long it takes this guy to make these models. Because this is all made by one guy. At least one account. Maybe it's multiple people. Don't want to be spreading some false information. And here we go. I'm actually going to make this one next because this will be extremely easy. And I will show you why. And one thing I want to check on real quick is how much the textures change. If I decide to compress them just a little. So hopefully they won't change at all. They did not change in the slightest. Oh, now the gun is nice and small, exactly how we want it. And, you know, because I'm going to be making a bunch of these, let's just keep the sound the same. So I'll put it in the main AKs folder right here. Okay, now we have the stab AK. Let's name this one something a little bit different so it's has a little bit of uniqueness to it. And alright, so 2 more models to make and then I'm going to be shutting off the stream. So let's power through. Yes, my name's Suck. Leave me alone. But here's a prime example of your object being in there and the texture's not. So what I was explaining before, there you go. Oh, the model is split up a little bit. That's going to be fun to work with. Okay, let's drag it in. And it's only slightly enormous. Because there's multiple parts to it. Let's leave it together. I made this one 0.055, correct? I wonder if the person scaled it the same. Or hopefully very close to it. It's pretty close. At least that's the same. Let's get rid of the AK. And let's do some textures first. And just like before, both metallic all the way, 165. And let's duplicate it, because there's two. So I'm guessing base, base, or E, is that the emission? Let's see their naming. Punk, that doesn't help me. This blue thing, it's always the normal. So, it's always very easy to pick out. Let's drag that there. Let's drag that there. Does that look good? I don't really know, to be honest. Is that how it's supposed to look? Or like this? Maybe they have two different designs? No. So it's supposed to be with the X's. Let's get rid of that. And I can make the Jasons at the very end. Okay. I don't see any X's on it, do you? I don't know, maybe there are. Aha, see. Different. Let's put that one in there. And you see the little bubbles right there. I don't know exactly where I'm looking. Oh, those are right there. Huh. Maybe. Let's decrease the metallic of it first, so it's a little bit easier to see. Huh. Oh, the bubbles were right here. It looked like. It's not where I want them. Now I'm confused. Both textures are the same. Material. That's supposed to look like that. That has a bunch of circles on it right there. Huh. Now is it the same texture on both? So, new material and new material one. Nope. Okay, I was wrong about that. That is my bad. So the one with the edge. Let's get started on that first. Is this one. Which is this? No, it's this one. So let's open up GIMP. We can work on the emission ASAP while it's still in my brain. If we can figure out... Oh, there it is. Oh, that was pretty easy to figure out. Cool. So press U. Let's see if I can select only that. A little bit difficult. So for something like this, as much as it sucks, try and do it by hand. And what's also really cool is the closer you go, the more pixely it gets. Let's try and get it in the middle of this because it might look cool with the emission. Let's set it to 2 for now. Make it a little bigger in a second. And what I'll typically do is what I'm doing right now, outlining the edges, or the edge of what I'm doing, because it makes it a little bit easier in the long run. And making it not perfect might also make it look a little bit cooler in game, so let's test this out. Or I might just be wasting my time for no reason. But let's try it. Now let's make it a little bigger. That's a bit too big. 8 should be good. There you go. Colored something in that I didn't want to be colored. Okay, 10 is pretty good. Pretty easy to get everything that I need to. Ah, man. Didn't want to color in that bottom part right there. That's why you can stop what you're doing for a second. Okay. Yeah, let's try that. Get rid of all this. And let's make it look not as horrible as it currently does. Leave in the red outline because it might make it look cooler. That is the hope. If it doesn't, then oh well. But I believe it will. So let's stay hopeful. Emission. Center again. I have never modded before. Blade and Sorcery is the very first time that I have ever. And I just stuck with it because I enjoy it so much. Now look at that. That is by far not perfect, but it is pretty cool. One thing I do want to experiment with a little bit is to it. Not a lot, but a little bit of color. Because I've never done it before. I figure it might make the model look a little cooler. It looks horrible. Okay, let's get rid of that then. And this is why I will let drags stick to the custom emissions. I like the outline of it. I think it's cool. Actually, one thing that I could change. Yeah, I think that's good enough. One thing that I should change before I do anything else. Perfect. And since we're using the template for the last gun we did, everything will be set up fairly simple. Or fairly similar, not fairly simple. This gets annoying. I just want to be able to zoom in. Yeah, I believe that's close to what I want it to do anyways. So it's at forwards and backwards, up to down at the tip. Collider blade is done. So let's make sure to select the gear for that one. So close to being perfect. If only it was the exact same. It'd make my life a lot easier. But no. I guess it can't. Yeah. So I don't have to delete everything. I'm just gonna mainly angle and resize if I really need to. But this is one good thing that comes about working really hard on a singular model. Copying and pasting. Oh, look at that. That's not what I want. a little bit bigger. Width is perfect. Actually, it's pretty well done. Let me just find the collider I used in the back. This one. We do not need. Maybe we do need it. And that's all we needed it for. And I believe the back really doesn't need to get done any more than this. Maybe just one or two added. Alrighty, look at that. Let's get rid of that garbage in the front that we do not need. Like that, that. I guess you're right. You could always surpass me. Might take you a little while to get over. Gosh, how many downloads do I have? I think I have in total over 500,000 downloads. Somewhere like that. I know I have over 300,000 unique downloads. That's an accomplishment. Never thought I would get to that point. But I have. I don't know. I guess I do really enjoy modding, and it kind of just stuck. But spells are difficult. They're completely unlike weapons, because for those you need to have a set plan, and you have to know how to script C#, which I am not amazing at. I know the basics of it, basically. I know enough to get by. And answer basic questions if anybody has any, because I'm trying to learn. So that I don't always need to rely on everybody else to make my spells, because yes, weapons I can always do super easy. But it'd be nice to be able to do it by myself for a change. And while this is always a community of people that love to work with each other and help each other, I will say that people get busy. They have their own things to work on. They're not always going to drop everything and help you. So that's one of the reasons why people take commissions. Because if you pay somebody to change their mind and work on a mod for you, I guarantee they will not have any problems with that. Myself included, because then I can buy better assets for the game. Because I do actually put everything back into the game, so the money that you just donated thanks again, it is going straight back into Blade of Sorcery. To get what, I do not know yet. But it will be something. Something hopefully cool. Save it. Those colliders are done. Now let's do these annoying ones at the tip. The only thing is that it gets a little bit tedious and annoying if there's a lot of different little colliders and you don't name them. But it's almost more annoying to name everything. This one, let's duplicate it. Since the game hasn't shown any weapons like this yet, let's try and have them be perfect. Because I will say it is. These are very, very cool and very unique. Yes, it will take a while, like it has taken me. But then again, like I am doing all the time, you just practice, you get better, and it becomes easier. You can make mods quicker. You can start helping people in the community out. Like, I try to stay on the modding page and check in the channel as much as I possibly can in case people have questions. Because I love helping everybody out. Why wouldn't I? I mean, when I first started, people helped me. It's only fair that I return the favor, right? And we are done with those annoying colliders. Sound stays the same. Shot VFX. It is cool. It is not what we want though. So let's make this a reddish orange. Reddish pinkish. Reddish orange. Whoa, that was pretty cool. Let's make it a brighter red. Makes it a little bit more transparent so the red shows more. Oh, it's got a bit of an orangey color, which I do not like. But oh well. If I was to just make this red. No? Oh, I know why. That's why it's orangey. Let's change this one. There you go. Our super nice particles. And when I take the time to make an in-depth particle guide, yeah, you can always do that. And when you do, make sure to message me and we can work on something together. Because, you know, I love working on this game and everything, but coding isn't my area of expertise yet. Trying to get there. But when it comes to particles and making things look nice and super fancy and cool, that I can do better than most of the guys in this game, if not all of them. Because that's what I'm known for. Or at least what I've been told I'm known for. Short sound effects from there. Now let's just check. If the bullets come out of here, they will hopefully not hit the blade, because if they do, that would be very annoying. Yeah, they should miss the blade. So let's save that. We got our handle right there. Handle 1. Let's try it. Let's just try it like right there. That should be fine. When you're grabbing it, you want to be able to hold the weapon horizontally like this. Angle it just a bit. Bring it up a tad. I think that's pretty good. A third handle, do I really need it? Probably not. Put the wish right there. Holder point right there. Parry point right there. Save it. Oh, let us actually turn reading right on. Then the mission that we made can work. Spawn point handle. Yeah, I think we got everything. Alright, let's... Yep, all of those. There's no animations with this weapon. Drag it in. Preview. Generate the icon. That's a pretty nice looking preview. The only annoying thing if you're working on packs is, one, coming up with all the names, but two, when this folder gets all nice and filled up and extends onto the bottom. But I just named it. I wasn't even paying attention. Okay. That's perfect. And honestly, guys, I said I was going to make a third weapon. Let me just put it in. I'm definitely excited for the new dungeon mode and figuring out what other fun things I can mod about it. Sound. I'd assume that it can be done, but I don't believe that it will, because it seems too difficult and not really what I think Cospi would be looking for. So, I'm curious. Who's the other guy? Because it's you, Professional Uwu. Who's the other guy that's been watching this the whole time? That makes me happy that somebody is. Because if you're watching the whole video, you're really getting a lot of information. And the Gatling gun. Okay, this is going to be a lot. Because they're going to make this pierce. Add a couple different handles. A whole lot of new colliders. So guys, what I'm going to say now is thank you for watching. If you're not subscribed already, please do. Please hit the alert bell, the alarm, so you can check out my streams in the future and watch my videos as soon as they come out. This is the first time I'm telling you guys this, but when I hit 100 viewers, I'm going to be making a custom mod I'm going to be putting out a poll and choosing a random person from the poll that is one of my subscribers that will be able to choose a custom mod of any kind that they want. So that's after I hit 100. And then when I hit 1,000, 10,000, hopefully it keeps going up. So thanks for watching. Have a good one.